Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the HodlCast. Today we have very special guest, Eryka Gemma. Eryka, thank you so much for coming on this week. I was extremely impressed watching you last week at the North American Bitcoin Conference. You were just like on the top of your game, talking with everyone, and it seemed like you had a big role in organizing a lot of the events with the blockchain week. So very excited to talk with you and maybe we could just start off with a little introduction, how you got involved in Bitcoin and your background leading into your role now with the Blockchain Center.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me. I think you're definitely a part of the Florida community, so it's always good to have people representing here. So my background in Bitcoin is mainly political, honestly. So when I was younger, I was a delegate in Washington State for Ron Paul. So I was like 19 years old. I was genuinely, trying to understand politics, and it just didn't make any sense. I mean, I would see these people on TV and they would be politicians talking on C-SPAN, and they would be saying a lot, but they wouldn't be actually saying anything of value. And so I was complaining to a friend about it, and he told me, oh, you got to watch this guy, Ron Paul. So it was that whole movement that taught me about Bitcoin, just being around people that were just very libertarian minded. And this was like when he ran for office in 2012. Now, I unfortunately, like, I didn't buy Bitcoin back then. Like, I was 19, like I didn't have any money, and I was, yeah. And then unfortunately, because then I might not be here right now. So then from there, I kind of, Ron Paul lost, and I was kind of really disheartened by the government, just because, like, I knew that they were corrupt, but I did not understand the extent to which they were. I mean, there's a lot of crazy stories that I heard just around the people that I was with about, like, for example, one was that a bunch of them had gone on a bus in Florida to go vote for him at the caucus. And they all got on this bus, and then the bus just drove around in circles, and it never made it to the place they were supposed to vote. So it was things like that where I was like, wow, like, I'm never going to make an impact through government. So I always liked aviation, like I always liked airplanes. So I moved to, I went to Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. And I mean, there I was still into like economics, but I kind of like brain dumped everything because I was just so distraught. And I forgot about Bitcoin. But I was like, when I was on campus, I was still doing like, I would do like speech series on the corruption of the mainstream media. I was the student assistant for the department chair of economics. So my professor would have me host these like discussions on campus, like Austrian versus Keynesian economics. So I was still like in the world, but it was aviation was my passion at that point. When I graduated, I moved to South Florida to work for a bank in their aircraft leasing division. So like just buying, selling, trading commercial airplanes. And I remember there was this one day where we had all gotten on a conference call. Like all the young new hires were on a conference call with this guy named John Thain. So John Thain is kind of like a legendary banker because he did the merger between Bank of America and Merrill Lynch. And so just well-known guy in the banking space. And at the time, he was the head of CIT, which is where I worked for. And it was the end of the conversation. I just wanted to ask a good question, so I'm like racking my brain. And so I asked him, like, what do you think about Bitcoin? And then like he laughed at me, like everybody in the conference call like laughed at me. So after that, I was like, all right, well, I need to look back into this. And so I did. And then kind of ever since then, I went down the rabbit hole, and you know, I was working in corporate America at a different aircraft leasing company at the time. And I was telling them about Bitcoin, and they had told me, that's drug money, Eryka, stuff like that, until this whole blockchain, not Bitcoin thing swept the nation. Then they sent me around to a lot of conferences and just different places to officially learn about blockchain. I saw the opportunity. I had already been hosting meetups just in my spare time, just to see like what community was in Miami. And I mean, I met Scott, my business partner, and we kind of just like started something new because we know like, I mean, he's also very passionate about the economic side of this and just the sound money side of things. So it's been really good. I mean, Miami's been super receptive to what we have to offer, and I think rightfully so.
Excellent. Yeah, it seems like Miami has a really thriving community. So tell us about how you came to start the Miami Blockchain Center.
So the Blockchain Center was interesting too. So Nick Spanos, who he used to run the call centers out of Bellevue, which is also in Washington. So he and I like re-met in the world of crypto. I remember going to a conference and seeing him and being like, I know this guy. Or like I had seen him before, and very influential. And then I had already been hosting meetups that were super successful. So I probably had like, and this was also, 2017. I probably had like 80 or 90 people showing up. And at the time, like we didn't have a building. It was just me like, hey, like anybody have space? And it would work out. And so with Nick, we wanted to bring the brand down of the Bitcoin Center New York here, and he was super receptive to it just because, New York the laws there are not helpful at all towards like cryptocurrencies. And so if he was to open up a secondary place, Miami just kind of makes sense. So we were operating just under like Bitcoin Center Miami as what we were doing with the meetups. And then somebody on Nick's team, his name is Roger, who's very involved in real estate, kind of just like brokered this amazing deal with us with a local real estate developer who, his goal is to make Miami, specifically downtown Miami, where the center is, a tech hub for millennials. And so, I really think the only way that's going to happen is through blockchain technology. So, things just kind of snowballed really quickly, and we got a physical space, and Nick and Scott have been really great in doing that. And, we have a lot of support from the city. So like when we opened, which was just 6 months ago, 7 months ago now, the mayor of Miami came out and did a ribbon cutting ceremony for us. Yeah, it was crazy. Like my sponsors were, of course, like eToro and just like really well-known crypto companies, but locally it was, the Miami Beach Chamber of Commerce, the Greater Miami Chamber of Commerce, the Downtown Development Authority, the Beacon Council, and they sent representatives out just because people do want to see millennials come to this city. They do want to see us be a tech hub, and we really do have an opportunity to, just because, our geographic position being one reason, but there's a lot of reasons why.
Oh, excellent. And so what do you do at is it the Bitcoin, it's the blockchain center, right?
So we are like being agnostic towards technologies, and Nick has owned the domain for years, blockchaincenter.com. So the floor, it's a third floor of this building we call the Blockchain Center. Eventually, we hope the whole building will be the Blockchain Center. But specifically, the Bitcoin Center Miami is a tenant inside of the Blockchain Center.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have an office in the Blockchain Center, but we kind of also run things, so.
Oh, that's exciting. And then that's where you host the meetups now and educational seminars, things like that?
Yeah, it's awesome too, because like when the bear market happened, I started hosting my meetups like just at a bar, like an American Social. And so I saw it go from like 90 people to, 10 people. But it was good because the people that came out, you knew they were really dedicated. So, it definitely let a lot of the fluff go. But it was almost like, we had already built the community. It was already there. And so getting a physical location was almost the next step, and it happened. But yeah, that's where we host our meetups. The best way to think about the Blockchain Center is like we're an event space. During the day, we do allow people to co-work there, and at certain levels, people can have 24/7 access to the facilities, and that way they can work because people work around the clock. But we are an event space, and we do what I like to call like mass adoption campaigns for companies. So companies, they want access to the Miami market. I think to find a niche group of people that understand what blockchain is and will understand your product, it's very, very hard. And so when people come to Miami, IOHK has been here before. Miami's such a great location because we have, everybody loves to hold their conferences, their offsites here. And so at the end of the day, they'll be like, oh, how do we get in touch with the local community? And they kind of will just get sent to me all the time. So.
Nice. And how important do you think it is to have that kind of community for overall?
I think for one, what's important is that you see people that are not, it's important to see people that think like you, right? I feel like a lot of my friends that were my online friends, I didn't know who they were, but they believed in liberty. They believed in these ideas that I did. They all have come together now and they hang out at the center. So it's just good to see. For one, it's just like good for the people who already believe in it to have encouragement. And then, you know, that just causes a network effect and other people get drawn in. So, I mean, the community is important. And then also too, with cryptocurrencies, it's like, I mean, 2% of the world's population knows what Bitcoin is, and even less actually own some. So for me, it's like, what's my target market? It's not the 2%. Like a lot of other companies that are building this space are, you know, they're trying to get the people that already know about crypto. For me, we're trying to just widen the base that all these other companies can have. So we do a lot of Bitcoin 101s, a lot of just free education that says like, hey, are you interested? Come out. I mean, we've had like some Bitcoin 101s in Spanish before too, because like, you know, Miami is all about like speaking Spanish. So.
Oh, that's awesome. And so how was last week for you with the Miami blockchain week? What kind of which events did you attend, and which ones were put on by the blockchain?
Yeah, so I would say a lot of them were put on by the blockchain center, or they were hosted at the blockchain center.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we were like walking, I mean, our location is walking distance from the conference. Like you actually, there's a secret way where you don't even have to, you can walk through a building to get to the center, right? And so it was interesting. So the first night, well, let me just start it off like this. The city of Miami has officially declared the week as Miami Blockchain Week. So we have a good relationship with the city. I had asked them to give us a proclamation for this. They did it, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. I had them present it to Mo on stage the first day of the conference, but on Monday, which is we do Crypto Mondays in Miami. So it was also presented and shown there, but it was very interesting because my panel members, we probably had like 90 people in the room. But my panel members were Kevin Ruiz of the Miami DDA, the Downtown Development Authority. I had Mo Levin of the down of the conference, and then I had Drew from Bitstop, Andrew Bernard, who Bitstop is like a huge ATM provider here in Miami. So it was cool the topic was to say Miami's future as a tech hub, right? So that was, I mean, Crypto Mondays was great to kick everything off. On Tuesday, we had Trading Tuesdays, we like to call them. So we had somebody teach people TA, just like trading strategies. That was also a pretty good crowd as well. On Wednesday, we had Fluid Chains and Exo Token, which they do a lot in Colombia in terms of education. They've got a pretty big community, and they've been around since like 2013. So we had them present to their community, as well as like they had a panel discussion, which I was on. And just, you know, more exposure for these people, trying to touch the people that are in town. And then on Wednesday, let's see. So, and what was interesting too is, so the Blockchain Center had sponsored the Blockchain Education Network. So Ben, all of those students to get an Airbnb and flights to come to Miami for the conference. I mean, it's really important for us to educate the next generation, because like, a lot of people are after like institutional money and like where, you know, the people that actually have money. But for me, those people really don't care about this technology. It doesn't affect them as much as it's going to affect us. So we really support Ben and Eric Pinos and everything they're doing. So it was cool to see them like doing the conference circuit of all the different events that we were at too. And then on Thursday, so Thursday was the first so then Wednesday was Fluid Chains, and then after that, everybody went to the Clevelander. I didn't go to the Clevelander because I was so tired from all the other nights before, but another time, I'm sure. And then,
I was there.
Did you go?
Yeah, it was fun. It was a good crowd. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, Clevelander is very cool, so I'm not surprised. And then on Thursday we had crypto. So Thursday was the first day of the conference. Went to the conference all day. That was great. Nick spoke on the first day, and it was nice to see that it was good size, but it wasn't too big, you know. I really like that. I mean, I really like a more intimate environment in general, but I also like not seeing a lot of the people that are there just, you know, to make money, and they don't actually care about the technology. So it was a good sized conference. And then the amenities were great. Obviously, like Mo and Amy have been doing work in this for a while, so they know what's going on, and they know like what companies are doing serious things in this space. So, but after that night, we had crypto.com. They came out and did a session about financial autonomy at the center. And crypto.com, they just bought a bunch of ad space in Miami. So it's super cool because they have ads that are actually right outside of the center. And their ads say like the $22 trillion printer will never stop. It's time for Plan B. And so B is in like the Bitcoin symbol.
Yeah.
So yeah, crypto.com is definitely doing a lot too. So they had a really great session. We had some good food there. And then afterwards, we had people go to the wharf because that was just the opening party. And then after the opening party was the really fun party, which you came to, which was at Juju Rentals. Juju Rentals, they're a luxury rental company in Miami. And they have a house that they call the Bitcoin Mansion. It has like B on the gates and stuff. It's a pretty awesome spot. I mean, a tree house. There's like one tree that has like Bitcoins hanging down from it. And so we had a really, really fun party there, open bar that was hosted by the Bitcoin Center and by Juju Rentals and by Zap. So it's good because like people are always looking for something fun to do. And then I think that part, like some people never even left. Like I left at like 4 a.m.
That's what I heard. I heard some people the next day at the conference, like one of my friends that was there, he was like, yeah, I stayed till like 7 a.m. and then I just came straight here. I was like, oh, okay. That's when I left around 2.
Yeah. That's funny. No, it was a good party, and people are always just looking to hang out, you know. We made sure to have a lot of girls there too, so that was fun. And then Friday was a conference, so that was interesting. So I was supposed to do a fireside chat with the mayor that night, or that evening, but he had some stuff to attend to at City Hall. So thankfully he let us know a week before. So myself and Andrew Durgee of Republic, and then Gabriel Kerman of IOV Labs, or RSK as they're better known, I feel like, had a discussion. And I was actually glad that happened because beforehand we had lunch together just to talk about what we were going to talk about. I really wanted the focus to be on Miami. And from there we got some opportunities, which is we're now going to do an event because Miami is the Silicon Valley of Latin America already. You know, nothing needs to change for that to happen. And investors, specifically investors in Miami who are from these countries in Latin America, they want to invest into their countries in certain ways. But, you know, if you want to find these countries in Latin America, it's not easy. It's not like there's some database you can just find them. So we're probably going to do an event, hopefully before the summer, to where Latin American companies can come meet Latin American investors, and we'll introduce the government of Miami to all of this activity to show them, like, do you guys really want tech talent? Because the salaries here, they're not going to come from, you know, we can't pull people from New York. We can't pull people from San Francisco because the money is just not there. But we can pull people from Latin America and bring them here and supply the tech talent that's needed to maybe down the line attract these companies to here. So it was a really good discussion to see how can we involve investors, startups, and the government. So on stage, I hope people really learned a lot about how Miami has an opportunity to be the crypto capital of Americas. And I mean, if we just keep pushing it forward, there's no reason why that wouldn't happen. Florida right now actually is the #1 state that people are moving to. So let's give them reasons to move here.
Yeah, exactly. Do you work at all with Tampa or like Rosa and Block Spaces? Have you done much with them? Because last year I was living in Tampa and I thought they were running a pretty good program there too, building the community.
Yeah, Rosa and Gabe are really, really great. So they're actually also on the board with me of the Florida Blockchain Business Association. And yeah, Rosa's, I mean, she and I talked yesterday, and we've actually like traveled to Tallahassee before, all of us, to lobby for things to try to get passed, which is the the blockchain working group in the state of Florida. But no, I mean, we would love to work more closely with them. I think with us, if you have a membership with us, then you get a membership also with them. So
oh, nice.
They're great. They're really, really great. And they've been in this for longer than us, like just the co-working aspect of community in a place. So always a good resource to talk to Rose and Gabe.
I miss being down there and being part of it. Yeah. And then did you go to the What did they have, a hackathon after the conference?
Oh yeah. Okay, I'm not even done with the week, right? So Thursday was the party. Friday was the also events. After on Friday, what did we do? After the conference, oh yeah, okay. So we had the opening party, the opening event for the Miami Bitcoin Hackathon, which happens every single year. This year it happened at the Blockchain Center, and so the opening night was really great. We had Justin from BitDevs in New York come down and do the session. So people really appreciated that. BitDevs does a really good job at their Socratic seminars, making everyone feel involved, not involving cameras, all those things. So we had BitDevs come out and do the lesson. People form their teams. It was awesome to see just like all the different developer talent that I mean, I know a lot of them weren't here, like they don't live in Miami, but it was just cool to see them all come out. After that, at the center, we had every single Friday, actually, we have a VR game night. So yeah, you should come out one day if you're here. VR headsets, we play games, we play card games, people play like Smash on the TV. There's just so many different things that, like just games, you know, people just hang out on Friday night. Why not? A lot of Miami is focused on like clubs and like that whole scene. And, you know, some people just aren't into that. So it's just like a chill, like everyone just hangs out on Friday. So we had that as usual. But also that night, there were just like a lot of things going on. Bodie, Jesse Arman, you probably know him.
I don't.
So he had one of the largest like rooftops in Miami. He had like an influencer summit party there. So I went. We had, you know, it was chill, like always, you know, just networking with people that are in the space. And then after, so the Bitcoin Center Miami had also sponsored the opening of the Bit mining market. So Bit mining market is one of the only like front-facing retail locations that sells like mining equipment. And this guy Gabriel, he really sells wholesale, but it's just a nice like storefront for clients to be able to come in. But they had just opened, they just like finished painting everything. There was actually live painting at the event, but it was the official conference after party. And so, you know, free drinks, obviously open bar. It's just fun stuff, you know. I don't know. I think Bitcoiners like to party. And then over the weekend, so Saturday and Sunday were probably my two favorite days. Just because Saturday all day, starting at 7 a.m., we had the hackathon. The hackathon is also live streamed on our YouTube channel if people want to see that. We filmed some like really funny videos. Like me and a girlfriend were like just talking to the guys about like dating and like, you know, like, do you have a girlfriend? Like, do you have an internet girlfriend? Like, anyway, so Saturday was fun. Sorry?
Oh no, I was just laughing. Yeah.
So Saturday all day at the center, just, you know, people creating cool projects. Sunday morning, we had, oh yeah, and also on Saturday, we had a job fair at the center too. Because to me, it's like, you know, if you already have all this tech talent here, why not give them an opportunity to meet employers that are looking for them? So we gathered like a ton of different resumes from the local coding schools for people that couldn't attend. And then we have a bunch of companies that could also like maybe couldn't make it in person. And they, so hopefully we can get some matches. We actually did get 2 students hired. So that's like a huge success. I'm super glad because a lot of things came together last minute, and the Downtown Development Authority also sponsored this job fair to happen. So it's just super exciting to see companies and students get placed, because really that's what it's all about. And then on Sunday, we had the winning ceremony for the job, for the hackathon. It's just, this, I don't know. I don't know what to say other than like, it was amazing to see what was built over a period of, you know, 36 hours, right? Just amazing to see like, wow, like these are not just ideas. These are things that can make people a lot of money. And so I'm glad to, you know, congratulate the teams that won. I think 4 different teams won. Bitstop was a great, you know, they're a great facilitator of that for sure. And then afterwards, everybody went to Jeremy's house, so the crypto castle, and we had just a barbecue, you know, closing out ceremony. So yeah, it was a really fun full week for sure.
Like you probably needed a day or 2 rest after all that.
Yeah, I think I still need it.
Yeah. Well, that sounds awesome. And I bet next year, like every year, it's going to just keep getting bigger and bigger. I got the distinct impression at the conference, like I've attended that Miami conference since I think I went in 2015, not in 16, but then 17, 18, and then, or yeah, 17, 18, 19, and this year 20. So I've been, watching it change over the years as the, as the price fluctuates basically. But this year it seemed like I got a very bullish feeling from it. And just from talking to the people around either at that party or at the conference, it seems like blockchain gaming was going to be kind of the next thing. I didn't realize the whole alt, in-game currency market had come up and people are bidding against each other for land in some of the games and stuff. So I'm excited to see what happens with that. It sounds like you know probably more about it than I do if you're attending these game nights and stuff.
Yeah, on Saturday so Friday, I think a blockchain game company, we were trying to get them to sponsor our game night on Friday. So hopefully they will in the future. I think it'd be a really good idea for them to get exposure. But on Saturday, we had just a bunch of things happening on Saturday. I can't even remember. We had a VR conference that was going on, and you can actually attend the blockchain center in VR in alt space. Like you walk in, it looks very, very similar. The layout, I mean, everything is almost exact to what actually is happening in the center. So we had a VR conference going on, and then we also had I couldn't tell you the game name. They got me playing it and then like filming it, but I'm not a gamer, so I was just like, what does this button do? How am I supposed to know what to do next? Like this is pointless. So I stopped playing it, but blockchain gaming is going to be huge. I think that you're correct on that for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, people trying to play, getting me to play Cryptopolis with them. So.
Okay, I gotta look them up. Like I came home and I got that Decentraland game, or I tried to play it, but it was a bunch of broken links and stuff. So I was like, oh, maybe this isn't the hype it's supposed to be. Or maybe I just wasn't using it right. But I think it's definitely coming. I listened to Ready Player One like on Audible on the way home, like on the flight and stuff. It was very exciting.
Ready Player One's a good video for sure.
Yeah. And then I guess, with all the fun stuff, we also have, the regulations. And I think you've been pretty instrumental in the Florida Blockchain Taskforce. So can you tell us a little bit? I had a podcast with Sam Arms, like probably 2 years ago now. I should interview him again, but it was before, like, it was in the very early stages. So I know since then he got I think the task force bill passed through, through the stages. I remember it being very exciting. And then, maybe you could just tell us what's going on with that.
Yeah, so I mean, you have the right pieces there for sure. So Florida Blockchain Task Force. I mean, I think we're maybe the 8th or the 9th state in the entire nation that are smart enough to understand, like, hey, guess what? This is going to change our future. We need to make sure we get ahead of it in government. And so Florida Blockchain Task Force was created. And it was interesting because, so the Florida Blockchain Business Association was very instrumental in that. Sam is the founder of the Florida FBBA, make my mouth full less. And so a group of people actually from Miami, from Tampa, from the different tri-state areas went to Tallahassee, and we all lobbied for this bill to be passed, right? And it was so successful that actually every single person across the aisle voted yes. Nobody voted no against it. But when we were there and we were talking to people, it was interesting because, like, some of them had no idea what Bitcoin was, but one story in particular is Representative Anna Maria, who's over Doral. When we had told her about it, she was like, oh, I know all about this. She co-chaired the bill to make sure that it would pass, and just to give it more backing. But the interesting thing about Doral is that Doral is where almost all of the Venezuelan refugees go.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So it was like she knows what it is. It makes sense. Like she had no reservations against it. So when it passed, I mean, it was just cool to see it like pass unanimously. And then it was formed. Now, when it was formed, the mayor of Miami is on the task force. So that's, for one, it's just like, okay, cool. We have someone who's here. And then I had met some people who are on the task force as well at North American Bitcoin Conference. It seems like the task force right now kind of has a lot of accountants, like, people like IBM, like people that represent, traditional, I guess, like traditional finance, like the old garb. I don't know what to say about that, but it makes sense that they would be on there. I've watched task force meetings before, and I'm going to be honest, like the first one, I was really, really like upset because it was really companies just shilling their own, software. So, I mean, hopefully good comes of this task force. I think that some things had changed to where it was supposed to only be for like a limited amount of time, but they've extended that period of time because I don't know how much they've gotten done. I think it was smart for them to extend, but we'll see. I mean, I hope that I can attend the next meeting and maybe say some words about what this really means and how it does affect the next generation. But yeah, the task force, it's a good idea, but hopefully we can like get some things accomplished on there. So
yeah, and I haven't been following, but I know that Espinosa case has, it's out of Florida, and it's been kind of confusing the money transmission laws down there of whether or not you need a transmitter license for operating, something like a BTM or Bitcoin ATM. And every time that I work with a new company that's doing one, I write, kind of, it's a request for declaratory statement and kind of like a no action letter to the Florida Department of Financial Services, and they just on this one topic they're not responding, which is kind of better than a response saying no, you absolutely need a license. But I think they're waiting to see what comes out of the task force, how that case finishes, and it would be nice for them to put in some regulation. Just they already changed their money laundering rules to incorporate the word Bitcoin and made it very clear what is being regulated for money laundering includes Bitcoin in it, but not for the money transmission. They haven't added the word Bitcoin. So right now it's just, I think, like a transfer of value. So there's argument to be made on either side of what that really includes. And I hope that something, or well, right now it's okay. If nothing comes, it's okay because people can still operate without having to go through a cumbersome licensing process. But I just hope that it doesn't, down the road get decided that they do need a transmission license in Florida. But
yeah, regulatory clarity is one of those things where I'm just like, the world doesn't stop because the government moves slow. So what are we supposed to do? So,
yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people say it's a great thing to get the clarity, but if the clarity is, not the right, would be requiring a license or something, I'd rather not have the clarity yet. But yeah. But yeah, so are you gonna, when's the next task force meeting, or what's this going on? I saw some emails trying to define the word blockchain, like sent around to, I don't know how I ended up getting on the email chain, but it looked like I think it was the task force, and they're coming up with the definition of blockchain. Do you know what that's for?
So the FBBA, Rosa and Anessa are also on the board of it, and Anessa was tasked by the task force to try to figure out, like what is a good definition for this for the government, and which is kind of hard because if they're you want to make sure that it's accurate, but it also doesn't like hinder certain things, right? So. She probably included you in it because you're smart and you're a lawyer, so you gotta like watch the words. You probably are like really good with words. So I mean, it's just creating a definition of blockchain for the state of Florida. We kind of took Wyoming's model and the SEC's model and are trying to modify them a little bit. I feel like I took the SEC's definition of it and changed it just a couple changes because you can't. I mean, what applies to one blockchain doesn't apply to all of them. So you really got to be careful on like how we're defining it as a state.
Yeah, I agree. So I saw the first definitions that were there that were calling it decentralized. I think that I agree that the SEC's definition, I think that was really carefully drafted a few years ago. I've been using that definition in any writings, not the modified one, but just what they put in. They put it as a footnote in all of their basically all their complaints against people when they're doing the securities litigation. But I think it meets every element, and it incorporates all like Bitcoin and Hyperledger, the two opposites of the spectrum. So yeah, but it is interesting when you have to really think about like that this could be used in future litigation, or people are going to rely on this definition when they're trying to apply it to their businesses. So it's kind of a fun experience watching it form.
Yeah, my big thing with the SEC's definition that I wanted to add was that like I think the first one was that they say that it's that the consensus mechanism is based off math, which I mean sometimes it is, but depending on the chain, like it's not always. And then the other thing was that I think it was just important. It's important to include that sometimes people are incentivized via tokens in order to like participate well in the system, because like sometimes people think that like tokens are just for the money side.
Everything. Yeah.
But it's not. It's to keep everyone honest. It's game theory. So I think that's two additions that I would make to the SEC's definition that I included in the email. But we'll see what the finals say is for Florida. I hope it's better though than what Wyoming put, because
Wyoming is very vague. Yeah.
And they put decentralized, which is, I mean, we just know that's not true. Like most blockchains are not decentralized.
Yeah, I think probably at the time that we're doing it, it was still like, Bitcoin and Ethereum might have been, well, I'm sure there were other ones by then even, but obviously like there would have been Dogecoin and Litecoin and stuff, but they were probably more, it was probably before all these centralized ones really emerged in 2017 or so. But yeah, the way I try and always look at it, well, I got involved in the counterparty community a while ago that was putting the rare pepes out, and it's a really interesting use case for it because it's art, and it's kind of like you can think of it like a real product, even though it's a virtual product, and the rules around art don't require money transmission or securities law. So I always try and position the token to also be thought of as a virtual good or service, and then that takes it kind of outside of the definition, but you need to create the definition so that it will work for something like that, because I think in the future for these things to move freely we need them outside of all of these regulations, and they don't need sure, the actual tokens being sold through ICOs or even Bitcoin things on exchanges, like some of it may benefit from some of the regulation, but for things like gas or every little token doesn't need to go through all of that. So
very true. Yeah.
Well, Eryka, where can people find you if they want to get involved in Miami or have you come speak at their conferences, things like that?
So if you're in Miami, you can find me at the Blockchain Center, which if you go on Google, it's on Flagler Street, which is cool because Flagler Street is the first street of Miami. So it's just amazing that we're there. Both mayors also approved like $30 million for that street to be revamped. Wow. So it's like, it's going to go, I'm just super excited for our physical location, just what's to come of it. But if you want to find me, Bank of Eryka, Bank of ERYKA, across like almost every single social platform, you can find me at that. Float, YouTube, but I don't really YouTube. Twitter is probably a good way. Also, Eryka, ERYKA at blockchaincenter.com is a good email to find me. So
nice. I haven't been using Float very much. Like are you on there? Can you tell me a little bit about it?
So I'm like a creep, and I keep an eye out for all decentralized or just all new types of social media. I'll reserve my name, but I won't use it just because I haven't yet. Float though was interesting because when I did make it, someone reached out to me saying like, oh, like I've heard of you before, like you do a lot in the Miami community, so you definitely have a lot of people that are in your crypto Twitter, like centralizing there. And I know Ken Bozak was saying something about he makes like $100 a month on Float.
Oh,
so
nice.
Okay, like after I saw that, I was like, all right, I'm gonna use it more often just to see where this goes. So I haven't used it too much, but it's the interface of it when I do log on, it's like an Instagram, like Facebook type thing. But it's much cleaner than your Steemit, but you do earn money. So.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I think it's my friend Kingsley and Aaron. It's their project now.
So.
So
Cool. I think they were at the conference, weren't they?
I don't think so. I didn't see them there. Maybe they were and I just didn't see them, but I know they're really involved in Vegas.
Yeah, I just think I heard someone tell me that the founders of Float were there, but I didn't see them either.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for your time today and going over all this. I think it was very educational and exciting that Miami's got all this going on, and they're lucky to have you there, spearheading it. So thanks, Eryka.
Thank you for having me and being able to talk to people, because I think that also too, it's like we live in a world where you don't have to go into the office anymore. People work from their computers, so why not work from somewhere like here where you have a great quality of life? I mean, it is in major cities, so it's more expensive than rural areas. But in terms of major cities, like it's way less expensive than like New York or California, and taxes we have no state income tax. So, I mean, I just hope people would consider, relocating, because this is the crypto capital of the Americas for sure.
And South Beach is just, one of the most beautiful beaches in the world.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, beaches, babes, Bitcoin, like what can you ask
for? What more is there? Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Sasha. Bye.
Bye.